Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are live from Jerusalem, from the capital of Israel. I had some tech drama for a change when traveling, but this is it. I'm going to use my mobile phone. I hope it works. I bought it for that purpose, so I hope it won't let me down. Um, Please participate in this conversation. I want to share a couple of insights I received while talking to people here in Israel and walking around in the streets of Jerusalem, where I've stayed since Friday. Yeah, Friday morning. I'm leaving uh, in 12 hours from now, so around lunchtime tomorrow. And yeah, it has been a very intense trip, not as dramatic as last time in June when I was caught here during the war with Iran. But yeah, about to take away from these days here in Israel. So please use the chat box, is there for us to make this podcast dynamic and also share with someone who is interested in direct first-hand insights. And if you enjoy what I do here, let me know just by pressing the thumbs up. And if you want to be part of this community, you can join as a member or let us know how much you are satisfied with what we do here by providing us with a super chat. Right. So I'm now recording from a hotel, same place where I stayed last time in June. I did it on purpose. I wanted to come back here, although I had a bit of a trauma. I think the best way to overcome these tough feelings is to return. So I voluntarily decided to book a few nights here. This occasion, I'm not on my own. I'm with my girlfriend, and there were uh, there were also the intent of coming back here together, since that was Israel was our first destination as a couple. But anyway, I'm not going to bother with personal stuff. It was also my birthday on Saturday, by the way. So I'm 1 year older, and I keep having more and more white hair. So you may be interested in how is the atmosphere in the streets of Israel. What I can say is, if you wouldn't know that there was a war, you wouldn't tell, which I think is a great achievement by the Israelis, so they're able to cope with all the tension happening next door. Although, as we know, there was a ceasefire and things calmed down, but there is still friction, and there is the imminent conflict with Iran, which is not new. It's something that has been on the cards for maybe a few weeks, if not a month. And of course, this is part of conversations when you sit with someone for a coffee or a meal or a drink. This is always something that you are going to talk sooner or later. My understanding is that Israelis have been waiting for the restart of the direct war with Iran for now nearly a month. They are prepared for the whole thing to begin at any moment. So the country, I think, uh, on the background, which is something that we don't see, it's ready, it's set up for the direct war with Iran. And what I mean by that is hospitals, security, everyone is in alert. But if you wander around, you don't see none of that. Shops are open, people are going to work, um, cafes are full, supermarkets have no shortage of stuff. So there's not much of crisis in the air. I would say uh, there's no sense of crisis at all, because as you know, Israel has faced this for quite some time. This is not new. Israel is a society that unfortunately have been on the radar since 1948, when the Israeli state was acclaimed by the UN with the acknowledgement of most of the roads, or very different times. Let's not get into history and uh, politics much in this. I just want to share my impressions. I was also fortunate to meet a few of my friends, which are our friends to some extent, since some of them have been in this podcast. They have shared their insights, they have shared their impressions of what Israel is going through at the moment. So I was lucky enough to sit with Rochi, with Erez, with Virginia and Dave Bender. Some of them I met in the past. Some of them was the very first. But overall, it was great to breathe the same air and be able to talk in the same space. These conversations via video call are great, but for me they are just complementary. They are not the real thing. So if I could, I would run this podcast in the studio, have these lads coming over all the time. But we have technology, although sometimes technology is problematic, but it does the trick, as they say. I can see. I have to check my other phone to grab the question, so it won't look that elegant. Someone is asking. I can see Paolo here. Hello, Paolo. Can one ask why is Israel situation a thing that you want to get engaged? So I think that your question is why I want to be involved in this situation. Uh, well, that's a very important question. Okay, I've been on this for quite some time. Okay, maybe more than 10 years now, if not, I won't say not 20, but between 10 and 20, and it's a huge part of my life. And I think it's more and more crucial because I believe that what Israel is facing here in the Middle East is something that we will very soon in Europe, if not in the present moment, but I believe things will go pretty ugly in our doorstep, and we can learn a lot from the Israelis. And I think the best thing we should do is to get into an alliance with the Jewish entity, as they then call it. So I think there is a huge bond between Israel and us, Western Europe, and that's the place I belong to. So I think we shouldn't let them down, and we should be around because uh, to a large degree, they are part of our family tree, and we cannot just uh, allow them to be exposed to an enemy like radical Islam. So I have a lot of sympathy, I have a lot of solidarity, respect, and admiration for what Israel does. I know that these days this is very much controversial, but I don't particularly care. I'm not going to change my words or my understanding of Israel just because it's not popular. So yeah, I've been on this battle for quite some time. I'm more and more involved since my contacts with people. It's pretty much weekly, if not more frequent. So I've been here now 8 times. This is the eighth. Sometimes I need to count because it's not just one or two. At some point, you age and you repeat the visits so often that it's hard to keep track. But yeah, I counted. It's my eighth time. I hope there will be more. And by the way, I'm organizing a group tour for those who are interested in seeing Israel firsthand. I'm organizing a group tour in June. I can put the link to the tour in the comment section after after the podcast because I'm very limited today. I'm doing this for my phone. But if you guys are interested in visiting Israel, go to ringofculture.com/tours, and you'll be able to see what I'm designing, what I'm preparing. I'm working with a licensed tour guide that I met. I almost forgot to mention him. He's the most important person. Yaniv, that you also had a chance to listen to a couple of months back. So he will be leading that tour in June, and will show not only Jerusalem, where I am today, but also Tel Aviv and the beautiful north of the country. So yeah, atmosphere it's relatively quiet. As I said, if one wouldn't be aware, one wouldn't guess. Which I think it shows how Israelis are able to cope with tension, pressure, and threat. I believe that this is something that our societies should be able to replicate, and also us as individuals. Um, shouldn't I think we shouldn't be just indifferent. We should integrate that behavior in our own personal lives to be able to deal and tackle with all the tough situations we go through, whether we like it or not. So I think the Israelis are a great example of coping with situations that are not desirable and getting on with life. So, yeah, for that I have a massive, massive admiration. So as I said, I met a few familiar faces. I feel home by being in touch with so many people when I came here. It's almost like going to Portugal, where I'm heading tomorrow, by the way, and we get into it in a few minutes. Before I want to say that, yeah, I had to squeeze like all these catch ups because there were so many in the pipeline, and let me, by the way, let me publicly apologize for those that I couldn't meet. I will do my best next time. Hope next time is in June, and hopefully by then the Iranian threat is not a reality anymore, and the Iranians can get back democracy, which is something they don't avail of since 1979, which is absolutely mad, especially taking consideration that the country was one of the most advanced and progressive and progressive in the region, and perhaps they could even be more than some European nations, which is something that we shouldn't forget, especially if we compare to what sort of reality of the state age the Iranians have to deal with in a day-to-day basis. Another question here. So you defend the Israeli government, Israeli nation, or Israeli people. Are you being an activist in which field, if you don't mind asking? Just trying to understand why a fellow Portuguese is involved in that area. Look, that I'm glad you are asking this because that open up what I stand for in terms of society. I'm all about freedom of speech, human rights, and democracy. And if there is a country where those three are in place in the Middle East, is Israel. I think that's undeniable. Okay, one can point fingers at a couple of aspects of the Israeli society because, like any other, there are things that are not ideal, right? But if you look at how how gays, how children are treated by the authorities and the institutions in Israel, you have no doubt that this is the best place to be, in the whole Middle East. Okay, I also admire a lot how Israelis understand business, how they put themselves in um, in the in in this environment that is quite tricky, which is making a living, one can say, and that is very clear in the drive that people have, not only in a day-to-day life, but when it comes to make sure that uh, themselves and their families are looked after. Okay, so I think that's something to not only respect but also mimic, right? So there are a lot of elements that I do look up in the Israeli environment, uh, and when it comes to politics, for sure, I think the Israeli government is one that we should acknowledge as doing a very, very hard job, and sometimes uh, encountering situations that we cannot even imagine in the West. I think we're quite spoiled, and that's something that we need to bear in mind, that the reality that people live here is not exactly the one we face in Europe. Okay, for instance, the use of force in the Middle East is something acceptable, okay, because it's a totally different there are totally different morals here when it comes to people's interactions and diplomacy. Okay, so we need to be mindful of that, and I think it's a huge mistake to impose our standards in Israel and in the wider Middle East. right? So I'm a fan of Israeli people in general. I have a few Israeli friends. I learned a lot from them. Of course, there are things that I would like to be slightly different. When it comes to the government, I'm not saying I'm a big fan of every element of the Israeli government, but I think they do the best for their own people. And as a matter of fact, last time I was here, I felt quite protected by the defense system, and that's something that I owe to the state, right? So yeah, I think that that was the question. In terms of nation, absolutely, I'm a massive fan. The history has been stunning from every single angle. One needs to remind that they are facing threats from all the neighbor countries or the majority, and they not only survive but thrive. Okay, so that's something that one cannot dismiss. Whether we have questions or not, the fact that they can cope with the situation they are put in and still expand and develop, I think the only reaction to that is to applaud. There's no other way. Now, if you're asking me when it comes, say the war that I know probably I'll talk about the war in Gaza. I'm pretty sure that like in every single conflict, there are situations where there is abuse, right? And there are elements of the military that take actions that are not compliant with the ethics. But the difference is here, if that happens, and it did happen, the individuals are punished and they are not glorified by authorities. So the fact that the justice system works, I think that's a sign of a healthy society, right? And and that actually brings me to next topic, the whole thing of apartheid. I know for a long time since I visit Israel that this is a complete lie. I visit the Jewish nation first in 2010, if I'm not mistaken, and from the very beginning, I realized that all these idea that Muslims and other ethnicities, because it's not only Muslims, there are plenty of Christians and Druses and other groups living here and coexisting with the Jews, which, yes, are a majority. This is complete garbage, and it's an invention from the media, which is now being echoed by other institutions, like universities and couple of others. This is not really the case. Okay, and the best way to dismantle those misconceptions is to see uh, Arabs living side by side with Israel, with the Jews, and some of them are actually equally Israelis because they have Israeli papers. They're able to run businesses. They own land. They Some of them, as a matter of fact, actually are very, very important individuals in the Israeli society. There are, for instance, in October there will be an election, and for those who don't know, there is a Arab party which at some point was even supporting the previous government. So they are relevant. They are not just there to pretend that they have a role. They do matter, and they matter quite a lot. That I think was Eruk Barak, if I'm not mistaken, the former Israeli prime minister. He was condemned to for corruption by a few Arab people in the court. Okay, so I don't know how much of that is compatible with with an apartheid. The other thing I already mentioned in this podcast, but I'm going to say it again, is that if you walk around in the streets of the old city, you'll see that there are Arabs selling Israeli flags and Israeli maps that often are portrayed by the media has as a nation that is expanding in an illegal manner. So if Arabs are okay with that, maybe we should think twice before acknowledging the validity of this geography distribution, right? I have another one here. For a young person in Portugal, it is difficult to accept normalization of violence because it's not our environment. We believe this civilization. Why do accept this as normal? Look, sometimes to get peace, you need to be violent. Okay, if your enemy is not willing to sit with you and have a proper discussion, you need to take measures that are not always pretty. This is not to defend or to endorse the killing of innocent people. I think that's absolutely dreadful, and I would never applaud that. Okay, but sometimes before you are wiped out, you need to just be faster. I think this is common sense. No, I know that we live in a very soft society. In this day and age, everyone thinks twice before saying things that may hurt or even be tough. But that's the reality. If look now, you that you are in Portugal, think that for instance, Morocco. Okay, think that Morocco is building a nuclear facility, and they have in their constitution the eradication of the Portuguese nation. Okay, what would you expect? Okay, what would you expect the Portuguese government to do in that specific circumstance? Okay, yeah, I'm going to say it again. Imagine the Moroccans or the Spanish. I'm just saying a neighbor country. Okay, they are open about your elimination. Okay, including the citizens, not just trying to wipe out the landscape, but also exterminating the Portuguese population. If there is a country with that intent and they're open and bragging about and like the case in Iran, they even have a plaque saying how was it, countdown for the end of the Jewish nation. What would you expect the authorities to do? What would you expect your government to put in place? Perhaps military action is in this situation. It's not only an option, but it's absolutely crucial. Okay, it's not ideal. Okay, I'm all for peace, but in some situations, this is necessary. Like Israel cannot live with a nuclear Iran, the same way that South Korea shouldn't live side by side with a nation that is thirsty to wipe out the South Koreans. And now it's too late. The Americans or any other nation, they cannot just visit North Korea and try to turn it upside down because they own nuclear weapons. So there's not much we can do. So we don't want any country to live in a situation where they can be gone from one day to another. And it's not just about the Israelis. Like I'm also taking consideration the Iranians who are fed up, exhausted, and they had enough of a regime that is just mistreating, not well, mistreating is a very soft word, that is killing citizens in a day-to-day basis. Okay, there are records of now saying that I don't remember the exact number, but it's a good few thousands of Iranians who were killed at the hands of the Iranian regime. So this is not just about the Israelis. And as I said a few sessions ago, I was willing to have this trip cancelled if that would mean the return of democracy to the Iranians, because I can come back here, but the Iranians cannot wait anymore, right? There's one here. If you want peace, prepare for war. Absolutely, absolutely. Sometimes war is on the way to get peace. It shouldn't be like this, but there are situations where we should, and not only we have to adopt measures that are not the most desirable. We need to be realistic. One thing is being prepared, and another is acting and provoking. I cannot read the whole comment. Provoking and and that's a rule. But that's not what Israelis are doing. If you look back, Okay, if you look back, Israel hasn't ever started a war. Okay, all the wars where Israel was involved was always a response and never something that Israel just started because they were bored and didn't know what to do with themselves. The only thing is Israel cannot afford to lose a war, because if they lose a war, that's the end of the country, and we don't want that. And when I say we don't want that, it's not just um, it's not just Israel. It's us. Remember that most of us we are evolving from Israeli technology, including now. The Android was developed in Israel. I using Android now to no, actually not now because I'm using an iPhone, but I have a separate phone which is Android, just to be factual, and it's helping us to have this conversation. Maybe some of you are also using Israeli technology. So if you are upset with that, you can just throw your phone off the window and go back to Stone Age. Someone is saying the genocide you are committing. I would like to ask that person, okay, to define genocide. And maybe don't Google it or go on ChatGPT. What is genocide? Just be mindful of the words you are using, because maybe you just listen that on the radio or on the or saw it on social media and you are just echoing. Define genocide for me, and then we can have a proper conversation, because I'm tired of slogans and big words that mean nothing when it comes to reality. Okay, going back to my own trip. So yeah, I was blessed to spend time with people that I consider now my friends, although we are living very far from each other. But I think in this day and age, friendship is not measured by the times we meet in person, but by the times we interact, even if we use technology. That's another podcast for another time. I had a chance to go back to the Yad Vashem, where I've been only once. I think in my second time in this country, but my girlfriend hasn't had a chance to see it, and I really recommend it. I think it's a huge reminder of the horrors of the Holocaust, and in this day and age where anti-Semitism is more and more an issue, I think we all should look back and see that things can go wrong in a very, very bad, bad way. It's heavy. It's not a place where you 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 you'll be smiling and your heart will be melted. It's not that. It's more of a lesson. So if you are willing to see everything, but expand your horizons, Yad Vashem is a place to go. And as a matter of fact, for that tour, that yes, I'm going to promote it here. The I've added I think an afternoon in the Yad Vashem. Um, it's an absolute must. If and I would say for those who for some reason cannot make it to Israel in the next few months or or in the near future, if you have a Holocaust museum near you, make sure to visit. Go there, Saturday, Sunday. Go there whenever you have free time, and I would say go there when you are fresh. That you can take in a lot and understand that we can all be manipulated and adopting very, very bad understandings of humanity. Okay, I believe actually that we are regressing when it comes to morals. We did a great job by getting rid of a lot of intolerance, but as of now, things are going backwards, and that's something to be mindful of. And I think visiting places like Yad Vashem or Holocaust museums across the road are beneficial. I also I also spent some time in the Via Dolorosa, which is for those who are not familiar with, is the last path of Jesus. I saw it with my own eyes. I think the first time I was in Israel, and it's also it's also um, it's also something that you cannot be indifferent to, whether you are a Christian or not. It's if you think of suffering of someone going to be executed, okay, whether it's Jesus or not, it's we're talking about a human being, okay, and I think we all try to not to think about your own death, right, on our day-to-day basis. We we look for that mechanism of distraction that will uh, help us keep going. But imagine being told you are going to be executed um, in a few minutes, and you're going to carry this heavy cross, and once you get there, this is it. I don't know. I don't know how someone can have the strength, to be able to do it from the beginning to the end. And apparently Jesus fell a couple of times, and that it's uh, on the walls. And by the way, this Via Dolorosa is in the Muslim quarter, okay? Which that's another interesting fact. Going back to this apartheid bullshit, the Muslim quarter is the biggest quarter in the old city in Jerusalem. Okay, yeah, maybe that's something to take in consideration next time people um, accept the lie that Israel is an apartheid state. Because if that would be the case, I don't think the Muslim quarter would be the largest in the whole area. So I'm not making it up. You don't need to come here with me in June. I would love to see you around with the group. But if you Google it, you'll see that by far the Muslim quarter is the largest. I'm not familiar now with the percentages, but I'd say like nearly 50%. And there are three others. Okay, it's not just. There are two others. It's not just the Muslim quarter and the Jewish. There is the Armenian and the Christian. Okay, they all live side by side uh, in a way that is only possible because this is a Jewish state. Because again, if you look back, the times that this was under Muslim rule, even under the Ottoman, which was not as violent, the friction was something frequent. Okay, okay, there's still friction, but not to the point that people would just pack and go. And as a matter of fact, there are many Muslims who fled Muslim nations and they moved to Israel because they know that here they can have a decent living. And talking of percentages, another thing people should be mindful, okay, is that 20% of the Israeli population is Arab. So one in five. Maybe that's something also to keep in mind when uh, we hear those slogans accusing Israel of being an apartheid. So if that would be the case, why would Arabs move here? I don't think they are stupid. They go where they feel that they can prosper. That has been the case for decades. Okay, right. What else I have here? I'm looking at my notes because I'm a bit tired by now. I've been up since I think 6 in the morning, which is not unusual, but it's different when you are abroad. Okay, right. Mhm. Yeah, I want to say about the pleasures of being here. It's a I'd say it's a very festive place. Okay, there's a lot of partying, not necessarily drinking, although there's no shortage of bars and even nightclubs in Jerusalem, let alone Tel Aviv, because I think Tel Aviv is a place where you can party in a manner that you cannot even imagine in most of the European cities in and America right now. But yeah, that you won't be bored here. There's so much culture. There's so much entertainment. There are so many places to sit and drink that you always enjoy yourself as if you like good cuisine. And that's the other thing. Israel is a very diverse society. There are not only Jews, but if you think only about the Jewish population, there are Jews coming from all over the world, and they all bring their own customs and habits and ways of living, and that is, of course, translated into cuisine. Okay, so yeah, I ate like a pig, I have to say. So but I enjoyed myself. That's what matters. I've been in Flemish restaurant, hummus bar, um, Irish pub. Yeah, yeah. That's another thing that I want to highlight. Yeah, the Irish pub is still around. People believe that the Irish the Irish and the Israelis are turning their backs on each other. That's it's not a complete lie, but it's not exactly like that. Like the Irish pub is still there, and there's the people are coming in, coming out, like nothing happened, despite all the nonsense between authorities and some other individuals. So you can enjoy yourself here. There are plenty of Arab cafes. Been in the market this this afternoon. Had a fantastic shakshuka, which I love it, and it's just fun. It's just fun. Israel is a lot of fun, I have to say. You don't need to be just pro-Israel as I am, and I'm open about it. Israel is a place where you can come and um, and be happy and be happy. Exactly. Let me just read the comments here. I'm not staying an hour this time, so I wanna go through the comments right now. I was born in France and I've been fascinated by history, but none of them touched me as much as the First and Second World Wars and the manageable suffering endured by Jews. I totally relate to your comment, although I was not born in France. But yeah, what Jews went through, it's something that is inconceivable for us living in 21st century. Enjoy your stay, Victor. Thanks very much, Paul. I don't really see the other comment. For Jews, we are not real people. I don't get this. It's not of this world. Okay. Yeah, I will take those comments offline. For some reason, I cannot see them all, if you don't mind. But I take them offline and I'll get back to you. Um, yeah. Yeah, have had a great time here. It was my birthday on Saturday. I'm now 43. I have no problem in revealing my age here. I had this dream of spending the 14th of February, not for Valentine's, but for my birthday here in Jerusalem. I've been pursuing for quite some time, and I was able to, despite all the threats in the air. I'm happy that is now a fact. The other one I had in mind is visit Jerusalem during a snowfall. That would be beautiful. I'm a big fan of snow, and I would like to see it happening in the Middle East, especially in a place like Jerusalem where there is so much history. I think to be a fascinating landscape to see the old city covered with white snow. Uh, I remember I saw once snow in South Korea and Seoul, which was not a place where I was thinking to be covered with snow, and it was amazing. It was amazing. So I hope I can experience this in Israel. Thanks very much, Paul. Yeah, had a great birthday. Had a few pints, so that was great. Okay, so just to close up, I'll put the link in the comment section for the tour. We still have a few spaces. Okay, not a lot. There are already a good number of people interested, but because we want to have a decent group, but not huge. That we can all engage with each other. That won't be just massive tourism. We want to see something that we will feel like we are, let's say, a bunch of friends. That's the objective. Okay, so the tour is taking place between the 15th and the 22nd. I sat with my good friend Yaniv, and we were rearranging a couple of the details. It's not fully settled yet, but I expect to share the whole schedule when I'm back to Ireland, which will be uh, later in the month. But of course, we also will consult with interested individuals what they wish to see, do, here in Israel. Okay, so pretty soon, in maybe 10 days, I'll be able to share more details. In the meantime, check what we have in mind. Uh, I hope it fits what you want to experience here in this beautiful part of the road, and join us. Most of the details are settled. Just we need to understand what you're going to do in every specific section of the trip, because the whole idea is to start in Tel Aviv, then stop here in Jerusalem and the Dead Sea, and finish up in the Galilee. But there might be a couple of events, cultural events, organized by myself and a couple and some Israeli individuals. We still don't know exactly where and when those events will take place. But the idea is that we will be showing you the country during the day, and there'll be some optional entertainment in the evening. So register, and then we can have a conversation offline when it comes to what we're going to do here. And because the whole idea is that we all have a good time, and we can all understand Israel with our own pair of eyes, and not manipulated by the media. I'm not here like trying to propagate a message or preach some gospel. I just want you guys to be able to see it by yourselves, and then you make your own conclusions, right? So please register. So yeah, I think that's it for today. I'm happy to sit with you guys and share my impressions. Maybe there is more that I can expand on next time. I'm hoping to be back live next week, and the reason is in the next few days I'll be in Portugal, and I think I mentioned in the last sessions I have a very busy schedule. Not only when it comes to family and friends, but I have a book launch in Lisbon on Friday in Sardinia. So if you happen to be in Portugal, I'll be thrilled to see you in person. I will launch my most recent novel on Friday 6 p.m. in Sardinia in a bookshop Almdina, and then Tuesday after I'll be up in the north in Porto, and I will be launching the same novel, which for those it's in Portuguese. So for those who speak Portuguese are more than welcome to have a look and see if it's something that connects with your heart. So I think that's it for today. I appreciate you guys being on the other side. I'll be back online the next week, and I wish everyone a good evening. Take care. Bye bye.
Thanks so much for watching. Click here for more episodes, subscribe here to catch the next ones, and let me know your thoughts in the comment section.